We're going to talk about storyboarding today. Storyboarding is a way that we lay out on a piece of wood where all the parts of our project are going to go. And we're going to start with the top view. So I'm just going to write in the corner, top. And I'm doing that so I know when I flip these around that that is my top view. You're going to need to locate a square for this, and we've got lots of different kinds of them. But the first thing you're going to want to do is see how long this is. So I'm at 10.5 inches. Basically, make sure it's going to fit. So I'm going to start with a line. So that line right there is just going to be the start of my cabinet. So this start of my cabinet, and then I'm going to make a mark over here where the end of my cabinet is. So I come here, I'm at 10.5 inches. Now, if you're using a ruler, it might be easier. You could make sure the zero mark is right on the money. And then I'm going to go to 10.5 inches, and I'm going to make another mark with the square. So right now, I am at 10.5 inches. So if I lay this out, I can see that that lines up really nice. Now the next thing I need to do is I'm going to lay out these panels. So these panels are each 3/4 of an inch thick. So I need to take a ruler again, and I'm going to make a mark at 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to come over here and make a mark 3/4 of an inch away from it. And I'm going to again make a solid line. So right now what we're able to tell is that on the sides of my project I have a 3/4 inch, sorry, struggling to do this with my offhand. We have a 3/4 inch panel. Now, this is obviously not full length, and I need to somehow mark where my panel is and my face frame is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you guys a trick. And the trick is I'm gonna go halfway down on here. So this is an 1.25 inch piece. So I'm gonna make a mark at 5/8 of an inch. It's halfway. Just a little mark there, and on this side, I'm gonna go down to 5/8 of an inch. And then what I do is I use my middle finger to be a guide, and I'm going to just draw a line here. And if it makes it easier for you, you can erase this mark right here. And I'll show you why in just a second. This thickness doesn't matter, but this is going to represent the panel there and the panel there. We are then going to be drawing in our face frame. So face frame is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go from the outside of my cabinet over 1.5 inches, side of my cabinet over 1.5 inches, and I'm going to make a mark there. And I'll make this mark and then I'll show you how or why I made that mark. And then I'm going to do the same middle finger trick where I just connect these lines. So now we can see this is my face frame, 1.5 inches. This is my panel. It's okay if these things aren't perfect. We're really going to be measuring off of these lines. So what I can tell now from looking at this drawing, if I measure this storyboard, if I measure from here to here, I can see how long my middle rail is. So you can see if I lay this right on top of here, I've got my rail there, my rail ends here, and my rail ends here. So from this one little mark, this one storyboard, I can now tell how big my rail is going to be. So if you would like, you can again use the middle finger trick and draw that across. And I'm just going to label these parts. So that's my rail. This is my stile. Like that. Stile, rail, stile. This is my panel. So I can see now the front of my cabinet. Now the last thing I want to do is I am going to measure over 1/4 of an inch for my dado on each side. And these are going to be hidden lines. I'm going to make the mark and then I'll show you what I'm doing. So I've made a little mark there, and I've made a little mark here, and then I'm going to use my square to fill that mark in. And I'm actually going to erase the word panel on there because I can't see it. But anytime you see in a drawing a dashed or dotted line, that is a hidden line. So now I can look at this drawing or this storyboard, and I can measure from that line to that line, and I know how long my bottom shelf is going to be. So we're gonna, again, I'm gonna just put an arrow and say dado, an arrow and say dado. So I know that that line is my dado. So this is the storyboard for the top view of my project.